Fairy tales. I love fairy tales. I mean, but normally I only enjoy them when it's during a bedtime story in the evening, not on a daily basis for the past year since the White House has been overrun by Democrats. But President Biden has been making promises over promises over promises. And as you've noticed, none of them have come true. And when a president makes promises and then doesn't deliver, and then something like this where a bus, I mean, there could have been multiple casualties. So thank God nobody was killed. But honestly, a bridge collapsing right before back in June of 2021, he started talking about his bipartisan infrastructure deal. There's nothing bipartisan about it. If it was bipartisan, it would have been passed by now. So clearly he's not getting the message across to the other side of the aisle, which, by the way, if you remember, during his campaign, he said that he was going to be the president that was going to reach across the aisle, that he was actually going to make policy by reaching out to Republicans. That clearly has not happened.
That might have been the biggest fairy tale of them all.
This is Fox's Julie Banderas claiming that Biden's been touting a bipartisan infrastructure deal since June of 2021, and that if it was truly bipartisan, it would have been passed by now. Yeah, you know what? She's totally right. If it was bipartisan, it would have been passed by now.
On this vote, the yeas are 69, the nays are 30. The bill, as amended, is passed.
Oh. Now, if you needed any proof that Fox exists in a separate plane of reality, not only does Banderas' claim prove as much, but on top of that, no one corrects her. So either you have a panel of 5 people so disqualifyingly unaware of what's happening in politics today, which is a great start for a political show, or you've got 5 people so committed to their partisan hackery that no one can even bring themselves to acknowledge that the infrastructure deal quite literally passed already. But either way, holy shit. Now, of course, this rant was so aggressively ignorant that Banderas herself took to Twitter to do some damage control, writing, "I misspoke, I was referring to the president touting the bipartisan bill back in June, and here we are today and nothing has improved, hence the bridge collapse in Pittsburgh. Our roads remain a mess, another failed campaign promise despite the GOP's help to pass the bill." In other words, she simply misspoke when she said that the bill that passed in November would have been passed by now, and what she actually meant was that infrastructure should be fixed by now, which clearly makes much more sense. After all, how long could it possibly take to repair the entire nation's crumbling infrastructure? It's been 8 weeks. Are you telling me they need more time? More than 8 whole weeks? Like, we're not cooking a hot pocket here. I'm not sure how long Julie thinks it takes to build a bridge, but it ain't 8 weeks. You gotta love too how Fox hosts parade themselves around like some champions of the working class, and yet they are so woefully out of touch with how things actually work that she's complaining here that our nation's infrastructure that hasn't been restored in 5 decades isn't just miraculously fixed. Either that or she's just pretending to be ignorant to have an excuse to yet again complain about Biden. But either way, Biden's not the one who looks like a clown here. And on top of all of that, if Fox hosts are truly upset about the fact that our infrastructure is crumbling in the United States, they might want to take up their beef with Republicans, considering the vast majority of them didn't even vote for the bill. In the Senate, only 19 Republicans out of 69 voted for this bill, and in the House, only 13 out of hundreds of Republicans voted for it. This bill was owed almost entirely to the Democrats. So look, Julie Banderas and the rest of this Fox panel have every right to be angry that our infrastructure is an international embarrassment, but let's not forget that the vast majority of Republicans voted to keep it that way. And given Julie's tweet, it seems that she's under the impression that what few Republicans did vote for it were doing some kind of a service to Joe Biden and that they didn't even owe him that much, but still they helped him, which really does give the entire ballgame away, because it shows that Republicans view their work in government not as a way to help the American people, but as a way to score political wins. And so she pretends to be outraged that bridges are collapsing while simultaneously congratulating Republicans for deigning to offer their votes on Biden's bill. Maybe the reason that nothing gets done is because of that exact attitude. Because Republicans view these votes as being for or against Biden when they're supposed to be for the American people. Of course, recognizing that would require you to not be a partisan hack, so yeah. Consider too, given that Kayleigh McEnany is on that panel, when Trump grandstanded about infrastructure and how he and only he would be able to finally bring this country together to pass an infrastructure bill unlike any other infrastructure bill we've ever seen, he never even got close. Instead, he just spouted off about it and never actually bothered to do it. But hey, I'm sure that's coming any minute now, along with that healthcare plan that we were promised, in 2 weeks. All of this is to say, if you have a purported news network that is interested solely in spreading disinformation, then maybe opt to get your news elsewhere. In this entire segment, behind all of the faux outrage is nothing but deception from someone so egregiously ill-informed and an entire panel too cowardly to relay even an ounce of accurate information that might be seen as beneficial to Joe Biden. This isn't news, it's naked propaganda. So change the channel, and in the meantime, please, dear God, someone let Julie Banderas know how long it takes to actually repair a bridge. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work, subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I cover the most important stories each week, and my guest is always one of the top political figures, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, Katie Porter, Cory Booker, and so many more. The podcast link is also right here on this screen, so give it a listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.